Welcome to Rip City Reverberations, show number 2
Dose.
on September 6th, 2025. Lots of crazy stuff going on in this dead time of year, such as Kawhi Leonard. What is going on with Kawhi Leonard? And is he the largest pain in the ass in the last 10 years in the NBA?
I would have to pain in the ass. Probably not the appropriate words for that. I think
I,
well,
I mean, for what being your max player and what
yeah,
he's given to the Clippers since signing there after winning the championship in Toronto, I that
he is definitely the highest paid non-productive player I've seen in quite a very long time.
they've
I
won
don't know if
three
there's any.
playoff series in 6 years.
He has or what? Oh, you're saying they have?
The Clippers since signing Kawhi have won three playoff series. It is not a very good return on investment.
No, that's quite lacking in what was hoped for. I'm sure, but I I think there's the whole, hey, did you get him there to get people in the seats? And they just built it well. You got a wealthy owner, but they definitely get people in the seats, and the possibility of seeing him play, you know, um, yeah, they're
Well,
there.
yeah, I've
There's
heard
season
that
tickets.
Intuit Center is incredible.
Yeah, well, they got all the interaction with whether the seats and yeah, you hear all the stuff about it, but yeah, that's awesome. But if I'm there to see, a former champion and how good he can be and how dominant, and he's not there, it's like, yay. It's, he's the player I would go see there. They're not like they were in the past. There's some excitement. They do the light the beam, right? No, that's Sacramento.
That's
Um,
Sacramento.
yeah, the yeah.
And Sacramento sucks so bad that the light the beam thing died.
I'm just saying it was cool when they did win and you got it, but even then, it's like, yeah, that's gonna wear off. Yeah, Kawhi
That's
doesn't
a topic that's
play.
like evergreen. Is like no matter how bad you look at how anybody's doing, the Sacramento Kings are probably doing worse. The most poorly managed franchise. I cannot believe how many drafts, how many player contracts, how many bad decisions. I just
It's in their DNA at
colossally.
this point.
Yeah, they suck at such epic levels. It's
Yeah, it's hard to be. Kawhi's he's about the same productivity level as them over the last couple of years.
I mean, Kawhi's amazing when he plays, but
That's the hard. That's far and few. It is. You
yeah,
don't get to see him. I mean, I think I remember watching some point last year, and he was in a game and playing, and I was like, oh, it is really nice to watch him. It's like I couldn't tell you the last time before that I saw him actually playing though. And then again, he was out the next like the next week, gone.
right.
Something they shut him down again. It's just like, all right. Um, yeah, he has his controversies, obviously the off-court stuff now that's coming to light, but um, I don't have enough
Yeah, there's a
info.
lot of people talking about his uncle has been doing unofficial negotiating, like maybe on his behalf, maybe not on his behalf, but like he actually in 2019 caused a huge controversy that Adam Silver ended up addressing by talking about family members negotiating on people's behalfs without like coming out and naming them. But he like totally pissed off because supposedly the Knicks, the Clippers, and the Lakers were the people that were trying to sign Kawhi that summer. And he was making these outrageous demands of all of them, of all these things that are circumventing the salary cap and totally illegal things.
I don't know enough about that. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you can. The dude got, how much was his contract? It
I don't
cost
know
us
if it was
money.
literally a max contract. I think it was just a smidge below the max, but it's like 50, 55 million a year, I think.
God, it's like, what do you
It's
need
a
more?
ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I and I think it's going to look worse if because he's not playing and it's like, oh, we're compensating him even though he's hurt, and it's like, then no, you've got to do, if he's producing and playing, it wouldn't be, I don't know. I'm sure there's a big deal about it if you get playing outside of it, but it's like, why are you getting compensated financially? Why are you having somebody else that's, you know, clearly he got a large offer to start with. What the hell is your uncle going in and trying to negotiate shit for?
Okay, yeah, he's making 50 million a year. So it's not a max contract, but it's real close.
It's a 4 year or 5 year?
Um, this one was a 3 years. I think Kawhi Leonard signed a 3 year, $149 million contract with the LA Clippers.
50 million a year. Jeez.
I think that they scheduled actually because they know that the cap is going to go up again next year, and they want to be signing a new contract right after the cap goes up again. I
Wow.
think is why they worked the length of that the way they did.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was a negotiating point from the Clippers. Who knows?
Yeah. Uh, we'll see what goes. We'll see if he comes back healthy. And oh, there's an interesting point. Ex Spurs VP reveals shady history dealing with Kawhi. Oh, that's an interesting piece. We don't need to dig into it because we have to uh, just read it to learn about it. So
No, we
yeah,
need to read that stuff ahead of time.
yeah.
Um, I just shared a link with you in the chat of Kawhi's contract history.
All right. Crap. Where'd my chat go? Chat. Wait. Go there. Okay, hang on. All right, I got it. I don't know why it's not on. Oh, it's on the other. What was this piece? Oh, you're saying that's his sports contract?
It's every contract he's ever signed.
Dude, he's made $325 million
Yeah.
in his
He
career.
actually was underpaid his first few years. His
Yeah.
average salary for his rookie contract was 2 million because he was low first round. His second contract was 18 million a year. His third is 34, and his fourth was 44, and now he's making 50 million a year.
Dang. Goes up. Cap league cap. Interesting. Dang. That's nuts. I gotta see. Can you just search player?
It's interesting because I think that the numbers are actually not ever official, and that the contract that people sign is actually for the percentage of the cap. And if the cap changes and goes up, then you get more money automatically based on that because you're getting a percentage of the cap and not a number. Anyways, this is getting to be boring video. We don't need to do that. What's our
Yeah.
next topic?
Uh, Players growth development of the candidates on the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah, so I think we got a bunch of players that are candidates that could have some serious growth. I mean, top of my list is definitely Danny Avdia. That guy
Yeah.
is killing it in Eurobasket, and from what he showed at the end of last year, when you actually kind of put the team in his hands and let him
Let him
more or less
create.
run it a lot of the times, his production just went up so much, and his confidence went up so much too.
Well, yeah, and that's gonna, I think, steamroll. He's played well in the Euro ball from the little bit I've seen. I saw the blip. He's like top five scorer. I think he's number four. Um,
Yeah,
and he's just going to come back. I mean, he's clearly with us last year. He became a one-man fast break for the most part. He's going to play with that confidence, and he's younger than I always remember. You know, you're thinking he's been in the league 8, 9 years, and he's been in what, five? Is this his
yeah, he
sixth
was
year?
drafted in 2020.
So this will be his fifth, sixth year, 25. Yeah, so sixth year.
Yeah,
Um, he
yeah, he's
plays
25.
older. Yeah, he plays older, more mature. His style of play is, let me just looking at last year, was consistent the whole time. You know, he played kind of one way, and can his game? I would assume after the Euros, he's going to become more. You know, he's also got a better crew around him now. At least I think. You know, you got better players, and you're going to have the ball in your hands. If not, it's going to be, actually in a set up offense. You got, whether it's Drew or Henderson, Scoot. You've got, and he can fit in within that offense too. The other player, yeah, Scoot, I think he's going to be one that we do need to look at for what his growth becomes, because he's that. I don't know if it's his last year or next year's his last. He's going to be up for his extension.
He's a year behind Shaden. This is Shaden's, you know, you have to
Maybe.
prove something this year because he's signing a new contract one way or another next summer. And like he hasn't been offered a big contract because he's been such a inconsistent performer.
Yeah.
You
I
know, and
hope
he
I
got
would.
benched last year for his inconsistent performance. And for that matter, so did Denny. Denny started off the year terrible.
I think that I kudos. That's what a coach should do. You don't let them struggle. You
Absolutely.
challenge their
You
ass.
you earn your spot.
Yeah. And then clearly they both came back. I think Sharp slower to do it. Denny obviously came back and was like, "All right, here's what I got to change," and then it became, turbo. Um, but I think even Sharp, you saw him come back, and it's like even if he came off the bench, he still wanted to perform. I think his is a mental block of how good he can be if he just let it's like throw the you know take the reins off, dude. You had a green light
Is it
last year.
how good he can be, or is it how bad does he want to win?
That's probably more.
I think it's more how bad does he want to win? Does how much of the Jordan Kobe dog does he have in him? And I
Well,
think the evidence so far is very little.
yeah, that's a tough dog to throw on anybody. I do
I know, but
think,
I mean, I'm just saying that, like,
yeah,
putting a scale out there, and that's the top of the scale. You know, nobody is more of a dog than either of those guys, so
I
that's who you
think
measure yourself up against.
I do believe bringing Damian and Drew into the squad, you got Dame back, which he's just going to be, as Chauncey said, most expensive, assistant coach in the league. Um, you have Drew, who's just going to lead by his experience and his example, even if it's defense. But I hope, that they're going to push those guys and just, I mean, I think Dame's done a really good job, and I think he's going to transition into that just as natural direction he's going to take his career. Play, we got to wait a year for him to come back, but even throughout that, he's always been, hey, how can I help the guys on the floor? How can I tell Scoot what to do? How can I, talk to Ant and see what it is he's going to do? With Scoot was the
Yeah,
first
I
year
think
really.
you're totally right. He's always kind of gravitated towards that, and I think it's a natural role that he's just going to easily slip into. And I think that Drew's a lot of the same thing, but it's going to be more from a player standpoint. I think it's going to be really interesting because I think it's going to turn out to be a training camp fight between Shaden and Scoot, who's got their shit together more now and who fits better with Drew. And I think it's going to I mean, on one hand, I would go with Shaden because he's the older player and he's got another year under his belt. But on the other hand, I think that Drew is not really a true point guard. He's at this point, I think he's more of a
Dude,
combo guard and probably more of a two guard. And I would want a point guard out there with him. So from that angle, I would lean more towards Scoot. But really, I think it's the old, you know, Joker who wants this job bad enough, snap a pool cue and throw it on the table and all right, guys, fight it out. Who wants it
back
more?
off of back off of your mic a little bit. It distorts. It seems when you get closer.
Okay.
It seemed all right. It seemed all right when you were back, and I don't know if that's picking up too much. Yeah, you're right. I agree with that. Um, I, I haven't heard. I've seen little blips of Scoot this summer and what he's done to improve. I think he has a little more dog than Shaden, um, in a simplistic way of putting it. But again, hopefully, yeah, I'd love to see Shaden just come out and be like, I'm going to attack the hoop and try to stop me. I'm just going over people, in the aggressiveness that it's like, I'm going around you. I'm not going to be stopped by what you do, and if that, I want that shift in his mentality to come out. And if that comes out, then it's like, okay, yeah, it's who really can stop him. He's the stopper of himself. He does need the little bit more dog in him. And, I'll take who's like a mild dog, like a mild to semi-aggressive dog. Maybe
Tamani.
get to that. Tamani, oh yeah, that's true. Tamani is no, he's a aggressive to can be really aggressive dog. I think his limitation is he doesn't have the offensive side dog like Kobe. If you
No,
want
he
to go to
he
Kobe,
doesn't. You're totally right. He doesn't have the offensive side, but he's got it on the D.
yeah, and he does not. And the thing is, yeah, that's tough. You can yeah, Kobe again. Kobe's a his model was the assassin in a sense in Jordan, and it's like, well, okay, and if you got it, that's a different thing. You come up differently, but it's going to be interesting to see Tumani this year. I know we touched on that he's going to be one on that list too. Can he make that jump to be aggressive offensively and be a threat? Which means you have to just be successful at what you're doing, whether it's hit shots, attack the hoop, make the plays on the offensive end, because you're going to stay on the floor somewhat for your defense, but you got to be able to hit that shot if the defense is going to be that your offense has to make their defense stretch to make it easy on our bigs inside or being able to drive too. So
Well, I think that both Shaden and Tamani are going to benefit a lot from Young's passing ability, the back cuts, and
yeah,
getting
yep.
good passes as they're cutting to the rim. I think is going to play into both of their skill sets, especially Shaden.
Yeah.
Um,
If he can throw a
and they're
lob,
both
since she's a
good.
big
They're
thrower of
both good
lobs.
cutters.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that is an opportunity waiting to develop.
I'm just I'm thinking that way. I think we touched on it somewhere of like this would be later to see like the team and how they use them, but you could go you could cause really big problems if you put Klingon and Hansen on the floor for short periods of time and you have wings that can cut. It's like, okay, you're either going to pull a big out, or you're going to, you overload one side and you got a backside lob. It's one on one. I think we can get that other ways, but um,
I don't know if there's an advantage in that though, because what's the what's the advantage of playing both bigs at the same time?
the only thing I see is you got an easy. If you got somebody up high, Hansen can throw passes, and if you throw something into the paint, what are you going to do? Double it? You can't leave him. It's either the one on one, and the minute they double, you cut. You cut weak side or cut from the weak side out to the hoop, and it's lob city or it's a dunk. Hit a cutter on the lane. Tumani did that fantastic. Always, Denny would usually drive and attack. I agree with you. That's going to be very rarely used. Um, I think a bigger
I don't
point
know.
would.
I think that it's not going to get. They're probably not going to even try it just because it's a minutes thing. Like I don't think that Klingon can effectively play more than 28, 30 minutes at the most. And
And
I
he's doing
don't
it
know
there
if
too.
Young can do that either. And then if you have them both in at the same time, who's coming in to?
Yeah, you'd have to run like, but at that's yeah, we that's a huge topic to get into. Of like, oh hey, what do you have the dog defensive squad? Let's just release the Wolves idea, and or do we have the small ball? Um,
But you always
you
got to
know,
leave some level of shooting on the floor. And if you have two 7-footers, you're immediately. I mean, Young's better than Donovan, but neither one of them are that good yet.
no, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
Young has more potential than Klingon,
Yeah,
but
and
they
it will be interesting to see because I think it'd be cool. It'll be fun to see how they progress if they learn and start learning each other. There's always that. I would say it if Klingon isn't that great of a passer, he's gonna see the passes that Hansen throws and be like, oh, I'm going to open up my game. So I'm going to at least, you're going to absorb it and you look, oh, he looked there. Oh, I never thought of that. Or I would have saw the pass here and you see something else. Then it's going to, you kind of start to copy, or at least even if he doesn't throw it, you become a threat to see that. And that's going to, I would hope, each player's offense is going to open up, and how they, um, or on the opposite side, you'd see how like Klingon gets into place to be and help side defense. He's usually in the right spot, So it's like, is Hansen at that level? Can he learn for it and
no.
just be?
I mean, I can tell you right now, the dude has no concept that there's defensive three in the key because they don't have it in China.
Oh,
And
that's gonna be
so,
tough.
like, he's expect a bunch of defensive three in the keys on
I
him
didn't.
this year.
Oh, and he play. They play. They could play goaltend too, right? They play off
Yeah,
the rim, touch the rim, boom. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's gonna be
yeah.
a.
So he's gonna have some rough spots with that. But I don't know. Everything I saw from him in summer league, it's just I don't really have any worries. He really seems a
He's.
lot farther along than somebody who doesn't really speak English very well and is coming to a new country for the first time. And uh, I, he's, I think he's way ahead of the curve.
Sorry. Oh, cramp. Oh, sorry. Got to stand up and stretch that. No, that's true. Yeah, he's a yeah. You forget if you look at him, it's like he's 19. That's not like a 19-year-old for the stuff he was doing and how he's playing. And obviously he got hype from everybody for being a who'd you pick? Who is
Right.
this?
But I thought it was amazing him like directing traffic in a language that is not his primary one in his first summer league games. That's like I
Yeah,
never expected that. I expected a shy, timid guy
just
that
be
is
seven
just
footer.
trying to fit in.
Yeah, he doesn't. And I heard the little bits you heard like he's still humble to understand that he needs and he has a lot to learn. Um, which is again, for his age, it's like, dude, you get it. You gotta give yourself a little bit of props that you're playing at this level regardless. But he's still a 19-year-old kid. It's yeah, it'll be fun to see what he is. And I agree with you. I'm in the same boat of him. I'm not worried about him. If the league, you'll probably see that in the first few games he gets in, he just gets smoked by a vet of some type, even a 2 or 3 year old guy that's just played in the NBA. Um,
Oh, I think
yeah,
that's going to happen a few times. That's part of the rookie trial by
yeah,
fire.
yeah. There's very very few rookies out there that you're like, oh yeah, he doesn't have a problem, and it's positional. Bigs are always going to be behind. You can get away with it if you're a two guard, any pretty much any other position for the most part. 1, 2, or 3 for the most part. If you're just quick, you're going to get burned once in a while, but very little. If you can shoot, you can attack the hoop, you're athletic. It's just more flexible where there's never the case with the bigs. But um, shall we move forward?
Sure.
Um,
Nice to see Dame in his recovery, showing the periodic videos of. I saw one where he was doing mild, like, step back
I have not seen that
So,
one.
like it was real light pushing off, but they were still having him do the motion, pushing
That's
off the surgically repaired Achilles
yeah.
and jumping back. And then it was interesting. He would push off with a repaired one, but then he would land on his other leg and not bring the repaired leg to touch the floor again and shoot off one leg like a 3 pointer.
That's kind of how that. So his natural like sidestep shot, which is well, that's
Yeah,
opposite
but
field of
a
you.
very, very like 10% version of it, you know.
But he usually kicks the right foot up, not the left, and holds it up. That's like off balance too. So you push with the left because that's the one he injured.
I think that they were trying to get the push off, but not the impact of landing on the repair, I think is what they were trying to do. Because the trainer was there telling him what to do every time.
Okay, that well, I mean, regardless, it's fantastic to see him back to that. I've seen you see more of the stuff where he's just walking without a boot, and there's still I've seen some of the stuff with Sem that he's training and that he still wears the boot for serious stuff, and I think that's probably the harder pushing or whatever it is to not overstrain it. Um, but yeah, you see him walking, and yeah, it's that place is gonna go bonkers regardless of when he's back. You know, even this year, if he's not playing, then just to get an introduction, it's going to get a freaking standing O for minute. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, and he's going to be around. I'm more happy. I look forward to more of just it's like he's there. He's going to be at the games. He's going to travel. I would assume he's traveling. And it's like he's going to be part of the team and have constant input like he did even here when he sat. It's like he's constantly in the game. He's locked in and trying to help the players get better, or how do you see this, or look at just how they can improve. And it's awesome to have that. And then you got um, Drew, yeah, Drew with the same idea. He's coming back and he's going to input it. He's going to be on the floor, so you got a experienced player from that.
Yeah, all excuses have been removed from Shaden and Scoot's growth. If they cannot
Yeah,
grow with the assemblage of guards around them right now, they cannot grow, and they have a diminishing future in the NBA. Because if you can't learn from Dame and Drew and Chauncey Billups,
yeah,
you can't learn.
yeah. That is very true, and it's that is a very you've got what Hall of Fame coach.
You got three
Um,
people that are going to be Hall of Fame point guards.
yeah, Jesus, yeah, that's nuts. That's crazy. That's really cool to think about, though. Um, yeah, that really is. Yeah, um, I agree with you. That's a fantastic point. They don't have any excuses, and I would take it that they are open to learning it because I think they're going to sit back and see. I hope they see that. It's just like, yeah, if you guys don't figure this shit out, you may make, be around in the league because you're serviceable for sure, but, not anything to what you really can be. And you
Yep.
honestly have a squad here that you fit with. And just, yeah,
Uh, an unforeseen benefit of maybe slower growth from them is slower growth means that they're going to get signed for smaller contracts, which means that we don't have as many salary cap problems in a few years. So it might
you
not
mean,
be the worst thing in the world that they don't have huge leaps the year before they sign a new contract. Like if Shaden has a little bit of growth, enough growth that we want to re-sign him, but then he doesn't get some outrageous contract, and then his growth all happens on the next contract. That's actually better for the team and the salary cap structure, and being able to sign other players and sign other young players. I mean, Denny's going to need to get paid, and he's going to get a huge raise when his
yeah.
contract is up.
Did Tamani just got a big one, didn't he? A
I
decent
don't
sized
know if
one.
he's actually signed it. I think that he is on like the max that he can go to is 4 years, like 80 million. So
Okay.
going from 2 million a year to 20 million a year, like 10 times.
Damn. Oh
Yeah, well,
well.
he deserves it. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. He is definitely him
all
and
defensive second team is nothing to sneeze at.
no. him and Denny were by far the most enjoyable thing of watching last season. Just the improvement in general of it changed this the whole aura of the team and how they approach stuff. You know, it's like, hey, we got a defensive defensive head of the lion or head of the snake, and we got an offensive, head of the snake, and they both
All
play
right.
together.
So who is your starting five for opening night?
Whew. I think you're gonna go Klingon. I think you have to start Grant.
If
Tumani,
Robert Williams was healthy, would you consider him
yes.
over Klingon?
He was so, I don't know. I like his style of play when he played.
He's
He
really
causes problems.
impactful. He's
Yeah,
really impactful. He's a
his
really smart player.
yeah. Um, yeah, that's probably the bigger point. He's smart. You didn't see mistakes from him. It was just, it was enjoyable to watch him on the floor. I mean, we said it most of the time we're watching when he's out there. We're just like, God, can we not keep him on the floor all the time? Um, I think depending on his health and what he's at, if he's good, you might even him off the bench because you put him on a second squad. Who's going to stop him from getting every fucking rebound or just, again, not making problems, not making mistakes? Um, and you got to look at Klingon. What's his cardio going to be? Is he only going to be out there for 6 minutes?
He looked in really great shape at Summer League. I mean, as much as you can tell in street clothes, but he looked skinnier and he looked in better shape than he was last year. So I think that dude has won so much in college and high school that I think that last year was really, really painful for him. And I think whatever he needs to do, he's already aware of and he's doing.
Yeah,
I don't have any concerns. I think he's gonna be in much better condition.
that's a good point. I forgot about what his success at college. So then, if I go Klingon, I think you got to start Grant because either way, it's if he makes a showing and becomes his old back to where he was, it's like okay, there's another problem for teams to defend.
Well, also, just
Um,
to rehabilitate his trade value,
yep.
I think that you almost can't rehabilitate his trade value if he's coming off the bench, which is tough because if I was answering this question, he would not be in my starting five, other than that fact of
Yeah.
you have to start him to rehabilitate other teams entertaining the idea of taking his contract.
Yeah, that I think that's I was leaning towards it's like you've got to get him back to a place where he can play. Whether he's going to be great if he kicks ass for you, oh well, great. We're that much better. It may hurt the bench production, but that's a whole nother issue of hey, how much do you play players? Do you hey, we got two squads, run them fairly equal and leave who's hot in, and let them ball. Um, if I continue
But
that, I think
you're creating a big problem for yourself here in a minute as you name these other three players
yes.
by starting Jeremy. So I'm interested to hear how you progress.
Um, I would put Denny in there. You can't not start him. I think
100%.
you start Tumani because you have a guy who's gonna just if you get it from tip to I'm gonna be a dog on defense from the tip, go for it. And then
You've
the
got
starting point.
four.
I know the
You got
starting point
four.
guard is really, really, really tough. I would. There's a part of me that wants to start Drew because I don't know Scoot's position. If you start him,
I mean, isn't this becoming a game of which $30 million a year player you're going to bring off the bench?
yeah,
It
yeah,
kind of
it
is.
is. It
Like
totally is.
it's like you. I don't see how you can't start Drew. The guy won a ring 2 years ago as the
Yeah,
starting point guard. Yeah, I don't see he hasn't dropped off enough that you can make a convincing argument for him to come off the bench. I think you can make a much more convincing argument for Jeremy coming off the bench, but then it's like Do you want to start Scoot? I don't think Shaden has set himself apart from Scoot enough, other than having one more year in the league. So I don't. He doesn't make a compelling argument, and like you
So
have to start Damani and Denny,
yeah, those two are a given because you're going to put
and you're not going to not start a 7-footer with the guys on the roster. So that's three people right there that you have to start.
all right. These guys do not have up to date stuff. Where's the freaking ESPN Blazers roster? See if this is even up to date. Yeah, that I agree with you. That all right. So yeah, Danny Tumani, um, Klingon, Grant, Drew. I think that's
That's a defensive nightmare, but man, if
gosh, you don't even.
if Jeremy doesn't get some scoring back,
Yeah, you at that point, you what do? You
who are
move.
your shooters in that lineup? I mean, is Drew Holiday your best shooter in that lineup?
Honestly, and it depends on how it is. You still have, so if I would look at that, you put the ball, Drew can knock down shots. Tumani shot decent as a three. You still put the ball in Denny's hands because look, he's just going to attack. If they, if they try to stop him, then it's, hey, I'm going to dish. I can create. You got to beat him back on defense to stop him for one, or it's a fucking layup. Um,
Yeah, I
it,
could see that.
it,
And then Drew is like your secondary ball handler,
yeah,
and
he's running the show at that point. If it's there, if
so
Scoot
is
doesn't come
Kamani
for
your
him
two guard in that lineup?
in that lineup, yeah. If you so this is if Grant's performing. If
So he
Grant
would be
isn't
your
performing,
three, Denny's your four, and Klingon's center.
nah, I'd almost put that'd be an oddball. You the way that really looks, Denny is a three. He's actually
And
a two.
I mean, Grant
Drew's a one.
has lost some speed, and it might make more sense for him to be a four.
Yeah, I'd put him as a four. uh, Tumani as a three, Denny as a two, and Jenny as a 1-2. Drew is a 1-2. Great, whoever's bringing it up, depending on what happens with the break or just the set. Um, if Grant
You don't
doesn't
think Jenny's
perform,
going to struggle keeping the Devin Bookers and the Anthony Edwards in front of him as a two?
well, can you put Grant on that? Any of those guys can switch. Put Tumani.
Right.
What do you switch off from Tamani to Grant? Oh well, there's another 6'7" long winged. That that is a oh okay. Let's go back down. That this doesn't. He may not get his stuff, but you need it. Let's throw Matisse in there. He was pretty consistent at a three ball. He didn't get a ton of time last year, but it's like, oh, there's
He's
another.
never going to start. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, no, no. I'm not.
he's gonna have a hard time getting into the rotation. I think he might be able to get some bench minutes, but not a lot.
Yeah, I guess I
His
wasn't thinking
offense
for.
isn't good enough. I mean, I think he might get
He's a
some spot
situational
plays. Like
defensive.
if you need to put in a lineup where you just need switchable dudes that can shut people down, you put Drew and Tamani and Matisse and Jeremy Grant and maybe
You put
Denny
Klingon.
out there, and everybody can switch everything, and that like you're not scoring. You do that for a
That's
few minutes, and
You can, and that goes into the flexibleness we have, which is probably a whole show in itself. Um, when you get into that, it's like, yeah, I mean, we got so much length that's still sitting there that we don't even I mean that they don't see a ton of time, But you could have Williams out there instead of a big instead of Grant, and just hey, we'll put him in the middle. Klingon's not a bad. He's obviously a great help defender, and he's good position, and he freaking stops people at the rim.
yeah, he's
Um,
exceptional at that.
yeah, and it's like, oh, that's gonna be fun. I don't know. That's going down it. But yeah, I think those would be my starters. I think I'd start Drew. Henderson coming off the bench, and I mean, he kind of did that last year for a good chunk. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, come in and ball. You going against the second squad, what's going to happen? Now you can be
Well,
aggressive.
so that starts to get into our next topic about what do we think the rotation should be, and so since you just fleshed out the starters, I'll flesh out the bench. In this
Okay.
situation, then you're going to have a bench unit of, and let's pray that Chauncey can commit to going 10 deep to reduce minutes and reduce fatigue and have a fresher team at the end of the year. Um, let's say Scoot, Shaden, um, Young at 5. Uh,
Over Williams?
well, I need Williams to be healthy and available before I'm going to
Put him on the floor. That's true.
put him on the floor, and Williams is not going to play in back to backs. So
True.
if Williams is healthy, yes, I would spot play him on certain matchups, like games that you know you can and really want to win. I would play him in those definitely, and I think that would be a good thing for Young to see somebody that is thinking at that kind of level and a different kind of defensive look than Klingon and a different offensive threat because he's much more of he's looking to get lobs and throw them down, and he's such a pogo.
Yeah.
Um, but then the question is, who are your backup 3 and 4? And Matisse, I would be a candidate for that. And who's your
Other
backup
guys
four if Jeremy is starting?
you have Murray, Repair,
I think
Matisse.
Murray. I think Murray would get it. Matisse and Murray would be your backup 3 and 4, and
Now you
Repair
get
would
he's your
spot
backup five.
Matisse when Matisse is having ankle problems or whatever his current health issue is.
Yeah.
Also, Repairs, I think, is probably a much better offensive player than Matisse is at this point. But
Yeah.
Matisse is elite in his block from
Defensively.
behind and
Yeah.
other kind of strange. I mean, he plays defense strangely, but he's elite at it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I see a little of how I would play. I love that. I'm just gonna, yeah, go ahead and throw that pass. What's up, Elle? She's like, what am I looking at? How are everybody? She's
She's
like,
like, "Why are
Dad.
you holding me?"
Yes.
She was
Um,
rubbing around my legs, asking for attention.
yeah. Um, how far are we at on
Yeah,
this? How
I
much we
think
got?
that's how I would spell out the bench. That's a good. So you have the starting lineup of Drew, Tamani, Denny, Jeremy, and Klingon, and you have a bench unit of Scoot, Shaden, Matisse, Chris Murray, and Young Hansen, and or Robert
Repair.
Williams.
If Repair becomes, Chris Murray or Repair, didn't Repair become, or was it Murray that kind of wants to model his game after Tumani? And hey, I'm going to be a defensive dog in my
I think it
way.
was I think it was both of them, but Repair seems a lot more focused on offensive skills.
Yeah.
I don't know. All 3 of those guys are candidates for like just having a little bit more of that dog mentality and just taking minutes by showing it. And I would love to see that from any one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see just the release the wolves. I think I said that before. Just let them go. Here, who do you want? All right, we're gonna put a long team on the floor. You got to obviously have some offense, but if you can literally put like Denny, Drew, Tamani, put Repair, and you need another mobile in there. But if you put a
Well,
big to
don't you
stop
think
it,
that if the defense is good enough that if you have players like Denny that are focused on fast breaking,
yeah,
a lot of your offensive generation can come from that. If you can
yeah.
constantly put that pressure on and cause turnovers, cause errors, and
I,
then I think they're really going to have to rely on that to make up for the lack of shooting.
well, the other part I thought, and this goes with what like with Tumani, if we see that improvement from him, if he comes out as, hey, I'm still going to be my 100% defense. And if I'm going to work up to be like I'm going to be an 85% of the way Denny plays. he can run. If he can shoot, he's going to play differently. But if you get a couple of people that play that way, then that defense becomes, hey, all we got to do is get a steal and we're gone.
Yeah.
You get trailers. This goes back to the old school Blazers. Freaking okay, great. You get Kersey with a steal, kick it to Porter, and then it's like fill the lanes. Who you stopping? You got Clyde
We
coming
need
down the
a
side, or
we need a soundbite of Sean's when anytime somebody brings up Kersey. Mercy, mercy,
Mercy.
Jerome Kersey. I need that plugged into my mixer.
Yes,
All right, that's homework for me.
certainly. But yeah, that would be something. I mean, that's yeah. Do I picture how I want a team to run? I want defensive dogs getting in the lanes, getting the passes. None of this. Let offenses move and let them do what they want to do, so we can play iso ball. Kick it out, make them have to get rid of that ball, and then get in the lanes and go.
I saw this video recently, a couple different videos, analyzing Memphis's. Memphis has been doing interesting things that nobody else in the league does the last couple of years. They've been doing this action where they have offenses where they don't do any pick and rolls at all. Like they act like they're going to pick and
Really?
roll, but then they slide and they move around, and then they do this other thing that the ball handler, whatever direction he goes, so if he drives right or if he drives left, the other four players all rotate in the direction that he's driving. So if he drives right, every player on the floor other than him rotates right to somebody fills in behind him to be a three-point shooter. The person that was behind him goes to the corner. The person that was in the corner goes under the basket to the other corner, and it's just real interesting way, a new way of doing stuff. I mean, Memphis didn't have a lot of success, but
But no, just to create new
sometimes it
offense, you
works.
need that. Yeah, I think that's. I mean, that'll be a whole nother show as well. But just what is Portland's offense? What do we do? How do we play? Denny ran a lot of it
It's
last year, and we kind
going
of
to
adapted
be
off
a
of it.
lot of running, a lot of turbo leading the fast break is what I think it's going to be.
I think that's good because I mean, we've always said this: like, get out and run. I mean, you look at the Blazers of old. The ball movement, run the fast break, fill the lane, and you stop Clyde. Whoever brought it down the middle, you had Kersey usually on a wing. That was a given. He's not going to bring the ball up the floor. If it was Clyde in the middle, you got to stop him. And if Porter's on the wing, you got to account for him. Or if you stop Clyde and Kersey and they don't get a dunk, you got a guy on the 3-point line just popping out there.
That reminds me of another vintage soundbite we probably need to collect is Steve Jones emphasizing ball movement and player movement in the post game is like the Blazers won tonight because of ball movement and player movement. Or they didn't win tonight because they had no ball movement and no player movement.
Jones was great.
Snapper and Bill Walton going at each other was prime. Some of the best basketball
ESPN.
commentary ever.
That's true. That's gonna be another. We need to do that as another topic. Just memorable games, memorable comments, memorable announcers. Whether it was Wheels, whether it was Sean Lee. Wheels. Wheels still has some of the Sean Lee. That's tough to touch. But Wheels had some of the best calls and the most, if you want to call it, Homer sounding, excitement over shit. You got to go into that too, though. You got to go with Mike and Mike. You got one that's a little loopy, but you got the other. Mike Barrett was fantastic. Yeah, some of those
Mike,
games. Those
Mike Barrett was ultra precise. He talked well, and Mike. Uh, oh my God, I'm spacing his name. What's his last name? Mike.
God dang it, Michael Barrett, Mike.
Rice.
Rice, yes, Rice. Yeah,
Rice was what you were. I was always questioning is like how many drinks is Mike Rice in at this point in the
and
broadcast?
the
Like,
scary part is
is he a
none.
3 drinks before tip off kind of guy, or you know?
I don't know, but yeah, there were so many good games and just calls of that. The the first one that comes into mind, I think it's Well, then that's two different things: radio and TV. The TV of the sequence that Portland comes down, gets a fast, comes down, shoots a shot, misses it. I think it's Dallas comes the other way, and um, Robinson goes up and chases him down from behind and swats that shot back out to like the 3-point line. And then I think it's
You're talking about
Rudy gets
Thomas Robinson, right?
Thomas Robinson blocks that shot. Mike Rice is talking about it, and he's just like, and all of a sudden he goes up to try to he goes off that he blocks a shot, comes back down. Rudy throws it ahead to an alley oop, or I think it was Rudy may throw it to somebody else, and it's an alley oop to Barton at the hoop for a dunk on the other end. It was just like that was. I think I saw that after. I heard that on the radio originally, and it was just like, oh my gosh, that was great. And you get wheels going off. You know, I don't. Some of those are. That's all memory. We can go down that path. I mean, yeah, wheels. Biggest thing with wheels, Dame shot to win it. I mean, that's so good. Both of them, even the Houston one. You know, that was yeah.
I just watched a video yesterday of the origin of Dame time. It was really quite good.
What is it? Where does he say that comes? That comes from before. Was it college? He
No,
came. He
it
came
happened
before that.
after the Houston shot. So he didn't. He wasn't doing Dame time at that point. It started the next
That's true.
year, and I'll send you the video. It's a good video. It's worth watching.
Yeah. There's so many little things of that.
Anyways, it's getting late. We should probably
Yep.
wrap it up. So,
I agree.
thank you all for joining us on episode 2. We're hoping to get these out a little more often than we've been
Yeah.
doing because of the technical difficulties, but we seem to have straightened some things out, and we should be getting more things coming to you. So, anyways, thanks for watching.
As always, go
Go
Blazers.
Blazers.